You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabel Barrino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. Have you ever been told by a mentor to not chase your dreams? At the young age of 20, this week's guest was told by her mentors to not start her business. And just 2 years later, she started her own social media agency and has never looked back. We talk about how we can all learn a thing or two from Taylor Swift's social strategy, why booking a non-refundable vacation is the kick in the pants you may need to quit your job and start your business, when to hire a social media agency as a small business owner, and why AI is hot garbage. I'm excited to introduce Chelsea Scott Flower, the founder and CEO of Scott Social Marketing, a boutique social media agency. Let's dive in. I am so excited to have you here today. How old were you when you started Scott Social Marketing?
I was 22 years old, and I probably would have started sooner if I didn't get pushback from some people in my life.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to start an agency when I was around 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And at the time had mentors saying like, no, you're too young. It's not time yet. You need work experience. And they're talking 5 to 10 years of work experience, right? And so I just said, okay, I trust you. That's fine. And after a few years, started to realize like, they don't know me. They don't know my timeline. I'm just going to do it because I feel ready. And I know that I can have a great business and support clients well. So I think it might have been sooner, but 22 is the official start date.
That is actually pretty incredible because we always talk about youth being a power on this show. And for you're saying like they literally were viewing me as young, as inexperienced, and said, no, you can't do it. And you were like, I know myself, I know my skills and what I bring to the table. So what made you take that jump and actually go into, doing this on your own?
Yeah, I worked in 2 agencies.
Okay.
And I just started to realize all the things that I wanted to do differently and realizing that I didn't have the credibility within that company to actually make the waves I wanted to make. And so I realized the only way I could do what I felt was best in the realm of social media marketing and starting an agency, I had to do it myself.
Yeah.
And so I started freelancing on the side in addition to my job, and things spread like wildfire. I mean, I only freelanced part-time for about 5 months before referral took off. And
Amazing.
It got to the point to where I knew like, okay, I can't do both right now. I can only do one.
Yeah.
But I had so much fear about quitting my job. So also at the time I was out of vacation at my current job.
Okay.
So I decided I'm going to book a non-refundable extravagant trip to Hawaii so that I have to put in my 2 weeks, 2 weeks before that trip starts. And sure enough, I'm leaving for Hawaii in 2 weeks. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to do it today. So I went in and quit, put in my 2 weeks. So I had to have a non-refundable vacation in order to actually do it.
Get over the mental block of being like, I'm actually quitting a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Were they shocked that you were leaving, or
not at all?
They knew.
Not at all. Because during my time there, I kept trying to change things. I wanted clients to get a little present when they onboarded. And I kept just trying to implement things, and they kept saying no. So I think he started to see that I was not meant to be an employee.
Yeah.
That was not... That was not what I was all about. So he was not surprised at all. And he actually gave me a lot of tips to starting my own agency.
Oh, that's good.
He's a phenomenal person, but yeah, he was not surprised.
That's good then that he wasn't, bothered by it, and because you could be viewed as competition. You know? So how did you find those first clients?
It was all through referrals. So I had been naturally just networking throughout all of high school, throughout all of college, and even during those first 2 years of working under someone else. Yeah. I wasn't networking for the purpose of someday having clients, but really just sharing what I knew about social and meeting people and staying connected with them. Yeah. So once I started freelancing, everyone was like, wait, you're freelancing now you're coming with me for sure. So it was just years of networking that really
you
paid
built
off.
up the database. And so when it was your time, they were ready to jump.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. With your experience working with other agencies, did that help you build out what you wanted, what you didn't want, what offerings you were going to provide? And how much of that did you take with you, or you said like, this is how I want it done, this is what I would want?
Yeah, I would say management wise, I learned a lot because that's where I didn't have experience, is managing a team.
Yeah.
And so I got to learn a lot from them. And that's where I'm happy that I did work in an agency for a few years, because it at least gave me that. But everything else was self-taught. So realistically, even if I did start sooner, it would have been self-taught like everything else has been.
Yeah.
Right? So there were some things I learned, but I wouldn't say it was completely necessary
To do
in me starting Scott Social.
How many employees do you have?
I have 2 employees,
Yeah.
but we're a team of 6 right now with also 2 interns. So
that's
we're
cool.
a pretty sizable team now, which is pretty fun.
You're taking on interns. Tell me about that. I like that.
That has been interesting so far.
Okay.
Yeah, it's when you think back to being in college, you really feel like you knew a lot and you're ready to take on the world. And what I've found is that you have to just take a few steps back and say like, oh, here's how you send an email, and here's why you need to do things on time by the deadline. You really have to, it's their first job. And so you're not just teaching them marketing and social media, you're also teaching them how to function in a workplace.
Yeah.
So that's something I wasn't quite ready for.
Yeah.
But where they excel is just ideas. They're new to marketing, and they have been thinking of marketing ideas for years and years with nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
So the first place they land, it's just an explosion of creativity. And so their ideas are phenomenal.
I really love to hear you say that. And I think that everything you're saying to me is so on brand with the Young Boss podcast, because we always talk about youth being your power. So do you find that youth is your power? And even with your interns, like, is that their power?
100%. Because I think we're not stuck in any sort of way yet.
Yeah.
We're still just innovating. And I would say when you're youthful, and sometimes that doesn't even have to do with age, you can keep youthfulness for many years, but channeling that allows you to just continue challenging things, testing out new things, and not being afraid if it falls, because we're still flexible to say like, okay, that didn't work, but now I'm going to try this.
Yep.
So I think it's absolutely a superpower, really.
That is amazing. Tell me about how you perceive the traditional frame of mind of visionary versus integrator.
Yeah, so I would say there's a common misperception that if you're a visionary, you can't also be organized and implement processes, and vice versa. And I would say most people are naturally inclined to do one or the other. Like, I'm a visionary at heart. You don't have to tell me to think bigger. I'm just going to think big. But you do have to remind me to build processes, right? And for a lot of years, I saw that as a total limitation in my life. And as a business owner, I would always say like, I'm great at coming up with the vision and coming up with ideas. I'm a creative, but I can't create processes. And I would use the word can't. And so I didn't build processes. And what I realized later is that it actually really supports one another, that when I started implementing processes in my company and making organization out of messy areas of my business, it gave me more freedom to be more creative and dream even bigger. So I would encourage people, if you fall into one or the other, work on developing the skills in that other area, because it's going to support your vision making as well.
Yes, I agree. People do have that. They feel exactly what you just said. People feel that they can't. They're like, I'm bad at this, so I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And I always tell when I have somebody who is more creative, they are more visionary, they're more big mindset, I'm like, when I'm asking you to do this process, I'm asking you to do it one time that will set us up forever, right? This isn't your new job for the rest of your life. It is a one-time thing. Just do it so we can get it down so that we can follow that process in the future so that other people can be successful for it. It's more like a season thing than lifetime. And I think sometimes people look at it like, oh my God, this is now my life. I'm going to have to create processes and SOPs and do all of this. It's like, no, do it one time and we'll be good, you know?
It's true. And once I got over that blockage in my mind, now I love creating processes because I know what it will do for me
Yep.
and how much more freedom it will give me to do what I actually want to be doing.
Yep.
So I actually look forward now when I see something that needs to be systematized. I'm
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay, talk to me about how you're finding your employees, your interns. Are you doing marketing? Are people coming to you? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I will say our hiring process is dialed in.
Okay.
Yes. So ever since I redid our hiring process, I have made the best hires of my life, honestly. So we usually use Indeed or
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Okay.
And then we'll push it out on our email list, put it on our blog. So we get a lot of applicants. I
Okay.
mean, within 24 hours, we'll get close to 400 to 500 applicants
Wow.
per role. Yes. And that's because it's fully remote. We're flexible, flexible hours, flexible vacation. It really has some desirable qualities to
Yes.
it, but we have a lot of people to choose from.
Yeah.
And the next step they'll do is fill out a questionnaire. So we're disqualifying people from the beginning, really. From there, they're going to submit a video to us talking about why they want to work at Scott Social.
Yeah.
And then we move into phone calls, sample project, and a video call at the end. So it's a lot of steps, I know. And for any people who have applied for a job who are listening, they're like, that is horrible. But any business owners listening, you have to add more steps into your process because we have made incredible hires who are more than qualified and they're better at doing the work than I am tenfold. I mean, I can't even hold a candle to them now because we found such talented people. So
that's incredible. I agree. I think it's funny that you said that because so many employee mindset will be like, they asked me to do all this stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, because it costs money to bring someone on. I have to train you. And if I train you up and take all this time away to make sure that you're sufficient and can do all this stuff, and then you leave me high and dry, now I'm back to the starting board. So
exactly,
you do want to have a really strict elimination process. We've been hiring for a role and our initial email that's like, fill this out is harsh. Like it's kind of mean. It's like, if you're not this, if you're not this, if you're not this, like go away. And somebody read it and they were like, this is so mean. And I was like, no, because the right person is going to say, I can do this. I'm hungry. I want this. And they'll go for it. And the wrong person will say, that's mean. I don't want to do this. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And with the sample project portion, we pay all applicants regardless of whether they're selected
That's
to.
great.
So I do think that helps a little bit that yes, we're asking for you to do work, but you will be compensated.
Yep.
So I do, if any employers are listening and saying that is way too much to ask, you can pay just a flat rate, 100, 150 to do a project.
Yep.
And you're still going to save so much money in the long run by making amazing hires that it will cover that cost.
It will
very
pay off.
quickly.
Yep. I love that. When a company is looking to hire Scott Social, what are they hiring for? What are all the components that you offer to different companies?
Yeah, so we're a boutique social media agency.
Okay.
So everything we do is centered around organic social media management.
Okay.
So clients who are looking to just fully enhance what they're doing, maybe they're already on social, but they're not seeing results and it's not feeling that innovative. We are their gals. We're a match made in heaven. So we do organic social media management, influencer marketing, paid ads, LinkedIn growth, what else? Styled photo shoots, UGC
everything.
Content creation. So anything that's needed to make a beautiful social media presence is what we do.
Very cool. Talk to me about AI technology. Are you nervous or are you like, we're a different realm because you are so personalized? So do you feel it's encroaching in your space or not so much?
It is encroaching, but I look at it as more of an opportunity where now when we're writing captions, for example, if we have a little roadblock, the team is able to go to AI and get things jump started, right? You can really use it to generate amazing ideas. And I do think that AI will become more and more weaved into the industry. And so I encourage the team to keep using AI, keep exploring what the different tools are, and tell me if you see a gap where maybe it could be filled by AI. But right now, our focus is so much on custom work because it performs so much better than anything AI generated. So we're keeping an eye on it. We're ready to integrate it more as AI improves. But right now, it just doesn't compare. And I can read an article and caption and know immediately if it was from AI. I mean,
Yep.
it's obvious.
It is. I feel like people are doing that now a lot on LinkedIn. Like they'll have these like really lengthy blogs, and I'm like, you just literally grab this from ChatGPT. I'm like, this is so bad. It's not even you talking. So I agree. It's good for that jump start of the idea, but then a human needs to take it and massage it and make it something from there. You can't just fully rely on it, at least not yet. Like you said, maybe in the future, but I'm not seeing yet 100% reliance on this stuff yet. It's like, no, you still need some human touch there.
Well, and here's a conspiracy I'll throw out. My hot take conspiracy is that the more AI generated content that hits the internet, the more AI is reading that AI generated content.
Yep.
And so I believe that the quality of content is only going to decrease. Because it's just getting more
circulated.
AI generated. Yes,
Yep.
Even on LinkedIn, it's the same words over and over again. If you see a caption or blog that starts with unleash, immediate, that is AI. Like, and AI keeps thinking like, wow, everyone's loving this word unleash. Let's get it out there more. Yeah, so I just think it's going downhill right now.
It is.
I do think that AI will increase its capabilities, but right now it's kind of hot garbage.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Talk to me about the hardest part of owning a business.
I would say the hardest part of owning a business is saying no. And even as you practice it, it still is hard. Maybe if you get used to saying no to clients in this area, well, now you have to start saying no to employees in this area or leads in this area. So the no's become bigger.
Yeah.
And so I find that it's consistently hard to do, but it's also the most gratifying, I would say. Anytime I actually say no, the rest of my day is made. I'm like, look at what I did. I said no to this last year. I could have never. So
are you a yes girl typically?
Yes, because I think in being in a service-based industry, I think everyone kind of starts off as a yes person because you're there to serve people and really delight them and do something that will impress them. And so naturally that leads to a yes.
Yes.
I'd say having employees makes it easier to say no because maybe where I might inconvenience myself, I would never want to inconvenience someone that I love and care about, like my team. So it's easier to say no on their behalf, knowing that it will affect them as well.
I couldn't agree more. What's the best piece of business advice that you have received over the year?
Hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
It's the best. And I apply it not only to the team, but also to clients.
Yep.
You should spend a good amount of time vetting every single client you work with. I think it's easy to say yes quickly when there's dollar signs flashing in front of you. But we all have a really strong gut instinct. It's easy to ignore, like I said, when there's money. But if you listen to it, it will tell you a lot. And when you onboard a client that you deep down know isn't the best fit, those are the clients that are going to raise hell. They're going to be unhappy. They're going to be high maintenance. And they're not going to be advocates for you when they inevitably leave. So, you know,
you're going to be waiting for their contract to be up because you're like, we shouldn't have said yes.
Exactly. And then it's also easy then in that situation to say, this is my fault. I need to fix it, instead of knowing when it's time to fire the client. So I would say what I love about that advice is it encourages you to be selective with who you work with and give a quick no when you know that it's not right. Trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
Hey you, why waste time scrolling through social media when you could be learning how to raise capital, manage a team, and be a boss? It's time to level up and hit that subscribe button for the Young Boss Podcast. Now, back to the show.
What do you think is the worst piece of advice you've received about business?
I would say, going back to my mentors that told me I was too young to start a business, that is the worst piece of advice I could have ever received, honestly.
And how disheartening.
It was disheartening, and it put a lot of doubt in my mind because, they were very credible and trusted marketing professionals. So I really trusted them. I wanted to be like them after I graduated. And so it really put a lot of doubts in my mind of like, wow, maybe I'm not good enough at this yet. And even if I know marketing, I don't know a lot about business. So they're right. It took me a really long time to get past that. And even last year, I was still fighting doubts from those initial conversations because even though the insecurity of owning a business had left, managing a team had not left. I was still very fearful of managing a team. And so that's what kept me from bringing my team as employees for a long time, because I was scared. I thought, surely I'm too young to be a good manager and to lead this team well.
Yeah, those are some serious and real fears that I think everybody who's young, who starts in business has. And even so many people I talk to, they say exactly that. They're like, I don't want employees because I'm so scared. What if I'm not good? What if they quit? What if I fail them? There's just so many, it's imposter syndrome at the end of the day, right? You've never done it before. So you're trying to do it. You're trying to be the best you can be. But what if something bad happens? The reality is bad things could happen if your boss is 102, 80 years old or 22, right? Like it can happen anywhere along the line. But I think because younger people are coming into it with such their heart first, they're saying like, I'm scared and I want to do the best job for you, then they're more focused on the employee experience. And I always say, if my employees are happy, my clients will be happy because they're the ones who are interacting with them. So that's really the person I need to focus on, and I need to make sure is enjoying their day, enjoying their time, because if they get on the phone and have a bad attitude, it only reflects bad on me. And now the client doesn't even want to work with me, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. And what I find too, looking at myself and friends who have had the same fear, if, like you said, if you're scared of it, you're going to put more time into it. And more than that, you're going to listen. You're going to be willing to listen to your team and ask them questions about their experience and really meet them where they are, which I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we've had managers who have not done that. That's what we're afraid of becoming, but by caring, we won't.
Exactly. I think that's it right there. When should a business look to hire a social media agency?
Yeah, so I would say for a very small business, solopreneurs, when it gets to the point to where it's not happening anymore, you have to outsource in one way or another. Whether that's a freelancer, an agency, even hiring in-house. But where someone should hire an agency is when they need something that's a little next level. They need a social media presence that is going to really stand out apart from competition. They need something that's high quality. Maybe they need more advanced video editing or graphics. It's difficult as a marketing manager or even a freelancer to deliver incredible work across all the different areas of social media marketing. It's really meant to be a team that does it. And so for businesses that need very high quality, then an agency is a really great fit.
I think that's true. And I'm sure Sarah will attest to that. And everyone who works on our social team is, I'm always like, one person can do it all. And it's like, I've learned that lesson over and over again, that it's a team, it's an agency, it's got to be multiple people, because not everyone is skilled at every single thing involved. And I think people enjoy social media for fun, and then they translate that into business life and they say, well, I manage my own account and I get this, that. And then they don't understand that there's so much involved with making that post the right post, getting to the right person, saying the right thing. You don't look like an idiot, right? It's high quality, this, that, and the other. It takes a team. It really does.
Yeah. And it's unfair for social media managers to have that much weight put on your shoulders. So I would say the best businesses that we work with have a marketing manager or director that we're speaking with directly. And it's so relieving for them. They don't have to worry about social anymore because we have that covered. They can focus on other areas of marketing, but we can still just collaborate beautifully on the different realms of marketing.
I love it. What's the number one pain point for your clients when you're first onboarding them?
I would say it's quality. They've probably worked with someone in-house before or worked with a freelancer and it's not quite hitting the mark. Again, because it's unfair to expect all of these different areas to be great. And so, that's really their biggest pain point.
How, social media is so oversaturated these days. Everyone and their mom is posting all sorts of different things. You don't know who to believe, who to trust. How do businesses stand out these days?
Regardless of business or regardless of industry, the best way to stand out is to spend time doing the things that other businesses aren't doing. So for example, maybe that's going live every Thursday at 1 p.m. and answering questions on air from your customers. Maybe that's interviewing some of your customers as they sit down with their daily cup of coffee on why have you been coming to our coffee shop for 3 years and what's your order, right? Like going the extra mile to do content that is so resonant. Because on social, you're not just competing with your actual competitors, you're competing with friends and family, which it's literally the people that your audience loves most in the entire world. That is your competition. So how really can you compete with that? Only if the content is so resonant. I think that people fall into the trap of trying to post a lot and going for quantity and consistency. And while that's useful, quality is always more important because you don't hear anyone say like, I love following this business because they post every day. Like no one would ever say that. But they say, I follow this brand because it's relatable. It makes me laugh. It teaches me something. It's always about those feelings, right? I think the Instagram account Humans of New York is the best example of this. Do you follow them?
Yes. And I've seen it. And it's so, people have sent that to me, it's like a one that it's in the DMs a lot. I feel like people share that one with each other a lot.
Exactly. So for those of you that don't know, Humans of New York, it's a journalist, I believe, who goes around New York and finds people with really beautiful stories. They're never like incredible, crazy, but they're always just impactful. And he will tell their story in anywhere from 2 to 54 slides. Like 54 posts will be published in less than, a day or two, but then he'll go months without posting again. And so with typical advice, they would say, hey, that's not good. You need to be consistent. But what they're missing is that it's the quality that really matters here. You have to go quality first. And if you're able to, then go for consistency.
That's huge. And I think what you're saying also is resonating with me, that do you find that every business needs a different strategy?
Absolutely. Blanket advice is the death of this industry, I swear. And it's just not useful for anyone, really.
Because I think that a lot of people I have talked to or potentially like looked into hiring, they're kind of like, this is what we do, this is what we offer, this is what works. And it's like, but things change daily. Like we need our strategy to be changing with the times. What worked literally last month might not work next month. And so you need not only to be changing with the times, but changing industry to industry. You need to be changing because a clothing brand has completely different needs than, someone who's just an influencer or someone who's selling a product of something, another regard, So when you onboard a client, are you doing a lot of research on their industry, or do you kind of stick within certain industries?
We go across industry, and that's why when we start any partnership, we start with a full audit of their channels. We do a competitive analysis with businesses in and outside of their industry, and then we move into strategy. So we won't make a single post until we feel confident that we know what their audience is hoping for on social. And even then, the initial strategy we create always changes. Sometimes it changes within weeks of us testing it because we realize it's not quite working. A good example would be when the Barbie movie came out. Okay, memes were everywhere. And our age group got sick of it pretty quick. We just saw it everywhere. So if you were a week late on that, you're already irrelevant. Whereas we had a client who has an older demographic, and so when we were posting Barbie memes, it was crickets. So we tried it again 2 months after the Barbie movie was
It hit.
Yes, they loved it. The crowd went wild because it's a different audience. So social media expert would say, that's irrelevant, don't post it. But you have to know your audience and say, no, they're really behind on pretty much every trend and they're going to love this in 2 months. And they did.
That's so great. I always talk to people who aren't on TikTok, right? And they'll be like, it'll come to me in 2 months on Instagram. Don't worry. And they're like, fine with being late to the trends. They're like, I'm just not going to keep up anymore. So that's funny. Like knowing who the audience is literally can change. It might be the same post, but it works immediate on one account and the other account, it's better to delay it.
Exactly. And we have another client, he suffered a stroke around 3 years ago, I believe. And he's a home builder. And so after his stroke, he was fully recovered, but his audience didn't think he was still able to project manage their home. And so his pipeline dried up. And so he came to us just saying, I need help.
Yeah.
So we recommended posting 1 time a week to his personal Facebook page.
Yeah.
Never in my life did I think that's a strategy I would recommend to someone. But on his posts, we purposefully make grammatical errors. We use bad formatting. We'll misspell a few things because we know that's how he speaks. And to this day, his friends and family have no idea that he's outsourced it. And his pipeline is full. He's doing great. So
That is so interesting.
yes.
You'll go as far as you are them. You're talking as them. It's not just like a brand's.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow.
And so sometimes that means breaking the rules
Yeah.
in order to really sell that this man is posting at the end of his workday.
Yeah.
And he's sharing a project with his friends and family. And that's it.
That is super creative, and I love that strategy. And you can only do that by really digging in deep to what does each client need. So I think that's huge for you and your brand. Without giving too much away, what are 3 like tactical tips that you could give to a young business owner?
Tactical, that's hard. I would say first, document everything that you can.
Yeah.
Document your processes.
Yep.
Even though it takes extra time, and I know as a business owner that's just starting off, that seems like the last of your priorities.
Yeah.
But as you go to hire your first person and you have everything documented, you will thank yourself endlessly. And if you don't document them, you will sit there and say, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I do that when I could?
Yep.
It will just help you grow so much easier and faster if everything is documented.
I love that. I could not agree more. I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions, okay? What is your favorite social media platform?
You know, I'm a millennial, so Instagram. I love Instagram.
Okay. What platform nets the most return for your clients?
Depends on the client, but I would say LinkedIn is the surprising platform that nets a lot of ROI.
3 times this month. Okay. LinkedIn is the way to go.
I love LinkedIn.
What's the most powerful social media tool?
Powerful. Again, it depends on the client, but I would say TikTok has the most capability to blow up quickly for clients.
That's true. What's one book every entrepreneur needs to read?
Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Okay. Another one to add to the list. We've got creative answers. I love it. What brands are killing it on social media?
Summer Fridays for the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Beautiful, but they never sacrifice analytics or metrics for aesthetic. They really nail both. Duolingo for just creativity.
Okay.
I never know what's coming next with them, which I love. And then I'm biased on this one, but Olipop.
Yes.
Because I love Olipop anyway.
And it's bright and it's fun.
Yeah, and whenever they post, I'm in the store buying the new flavor. So it's really effective.
There you go. Who do you look up to most in this space?
I would say Media a la carte.
Okay.
They're an agency based in New York City, and I just think they do a beautiful job of connecting with their audience on social as a social media agency.
Okay. Biggest social media pet peeve?
I have so many pet peeves.
Okay, give us a couple. Give us a couple.
I would say the one I've been stuck on recently is people who are still doing grid takeovers where you post like 9 times and it ends up with a bigger image that you can see on the grid.
Yep.
It totally disrupts the whole scrolling experience. It doesn't make sense, and it feels like it should have been left in like 2015. It's just not. I hate it.
Okay. That's funny. I just looked at someone's profile that did that the other day, and I was like, ugh, why do they do this? It is like, it's a thing, you know?
Even Taylor Swift used that for her latest,
album
not latest,
drop or
but
whatever.
yeah, 2 of her album drops.
I know.
And of course, it didn't even perform for her. I'm like, can we all learn from this? If Taylor can't even get good results with this, we're done.
We're done. Or how much time per day do you spend on social?
I used to spend hours, literally hours. Now I delete Instagram after every single work day. I don't even have the app blockers on. I delete it from my phone. So I would say 30 minutes now, which is really an improvement.
That's huge. Did working in the social space make you like kind of like about doing it?
I still love social media.
Do you?
I'm not the person who's sitting there saying, I wish it never existed, because I love social media.
Yeah.
But I just know that I need to do other things in my life than scroll. And I already scroll for work to stay up to date with trends. So
Yes.
I'm a big fan.
Okay. I love it. What's the biggest mistake or failure you've had in your career?
I would say the biggest mistake I've made was not raising my prices sooner because of the fear I had with clients dropping. And when I did raise my prices, they did drop because they're not a good fit. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, the clients that did drop were also expecting the most. And so when they did drop and I replaced them with higher paying clients, it also was a huge weight off my shoulders because they trusted our team a lot more. It was only positive things from raising prices. And I about doubled them. Actually, I 2.5x'd pricing within 12 months.
Wow.
And it was beautiful.
I think that is such a big lesson right there, because there are so many people who they're scared when they first start in business. So they set their price, what they're comfortable with, and then they get their clients, and then they're like, wait. We need to be, this is actually taking a lot more work and effort than we thought. And it's time to increase your prices. Maybe you have new tools, maybe you have more staff, all this stuff that you're now giving your client, and it will cause fall off, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because
it's fine so what if they leave? They're not your best clients. And now that clients are paying more, we've been able to do more for them. And so our work is much better. I mean, when we 2.5x'd our pricing, we also about 2.5x the quality of work we're doing. So now clients are staying longer, which also has a lot of monetary benefit too. So it's only been good for us.
Huge. I think that's amazing. Sprout Social reports that 81% of individuals believe that social media has raised the bar for business accountability. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Half of me thinks, yes, it's raised the bar, but then businesses also just fake it on social. It's marketing at the end of the day. And so I think what people perceive as transparency and accountability is still very carefully crafted marketing messages. So the skeptic in me thinks that it probably really hasn't increased it by that much.
That's what I think. I feel like people are just faking so much stuff on social. I see them in real life. I'm like, this is not your life. Like, you are such a faker. And I also think that it's causing so many people to not trust. Their clients are just being fed so many lies from so many different places, no matter the industry. And they don't know what to believe, and they don't know who to trust. And because social is so curated for you and what they think you're going to like and you're going to want, you're being fed your beliefs over and over again all day.
Exactly.
And so it makes you think, well, the whole world thinks this way. This must be the truth. But you go on someone else's grid and it looks completely different than yours. And you're like, whoa, this is not the truth. And so I think it's really funny because when they say perception is reality, just look at somebody's For You page. We all have entirely different For You pages. And that is our perception of what's happening in the world. But it's really not the truth. And so I think clients are searching for truth. And I think you can use social to showcase your authenticity and your truth, but so many people aren't. And it's like, don't ruin it for the rest of us, you know?
And you know what the problem is too, is that the algorithm favors content that is really crazy, bold, surprising, makes people mad or nervous or scared. And so when people post bizarre, like really bizarre advice, it's going to go viral as opposed to the person that's actually speaking the truth.
I know we're like always really conscious about saying how much people can make, doing a certain kind of business. And then I'll talk to other people and they'll say, oh, well, we show our highest numbers. And I'm like, what? We're showing our average numbers, because if we ever get sued, I want to be able to prove like this is the average number. If I could show the highest number, I'd get everyone to buy my product, but I'm not going to do that because I don't think that's fair to the customer. And other people just do that all day. And they might get more customers, probably more disappointed customers. But that's so hard.
Just going to say, even if you're leading with really crazy numbers that are catching attention, if the experience doesn't lead up to that, clients are canceling sooner, and then you have to replace them more often. And does that really actually pay off in the end than if you were just honest from the beginning? That does not make sense.
It doesn't. But it's so frustrating because it's like, it's just a game that everyone's playing.
It is.
It's like, we have to play the game, but you want to stay authentic and stay truthful. And I think at the end of the day, I believe truth will prevail. And people like that, once they come through and they actually see what's going on, they're going to say, oh, that's what was happening.
Exactly.
You know?
It's so true.
People will get found out quick, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Sure enough.
What does being a young boss mean to you?
To me, it means coming into the marketplace with a fresh perspective and with innovation and creativity. It means acknowledging that, yes, I am young, and the few negatives that come with that perception-wise, but then saying, I don't care. Like, I know that my services exceed what people twice my age could do.
Yep.
And yeah, really just trusting your own ability despite.
Amazing. It has been so awesome to have you here. I am so grateful for your time, your expertise. You are a rock star. If people want to hear more about you or use your agency, where do they find you?
Yeah, they can find us on any social media channel at Scott Social Marketing, or online on our website at scottsocialmarketing.com. We have a really great email list where we share monthly tips and tricks and updates in the industry. So you can follow us there as well.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss with your host, Isabel Garino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And let us know in the comments, is it time for you to hire a social media agency? We'll see you next time.